Aloha, everybody. Aloha Friday. Thank you so much for coming today. And today we're going to talk about interview and soft skills, how to stand out to employers. Okay, let's get started. So now this is what we're going to learn today: what employers look for, how to prepare for interviews, elevator pitch basics, and key interview questions, hard skills and soft skills, how to dress, and some virtual interview tips. Let's get started. Okay, so what are they looking for? What do they want to know from your interview? So they want to see if you are, when you walk into an interview, remember, it's not just about your resume. Employers are observing a lot more than just your answers. So they're checking to see if you're resourceful. So do you come across as someone who can think on their feet and solve problems? This includes both your technical or job specific skills, and that is the hard skills, and how you work with others, and that's the soft skills. They want to know if you're prepared, that you've taken time to learn about their company, understand the position, and come ready with thoughtful questions. And next, they're looking at whether you be a good fit. This means being reliable, having a positive attitude, and showing you can mesh with the team culture. They also want to see if you're willing to learn. This is a big one. So are you open to being taught? You don't have to know everything, but a curious and coachable mindset is huge. And finally, are you serious about the job? This comes across in how you dress, how you show up on time, the way you carry yourself. Okay, now preparing for the interview. So before heading into an interview, one of the most important things you can do is research. This step is often overlooked, but it can make a huge difference in how confident and prepared you feel. Start with the company's website, learn about their mission, values, services, or products, and any recent news. Then you can also check out their social media pages to get a feel for their company culture and what they're currently promoting or involved in. And next, you really want to dig into the job description. All the answers are on this job description. So highlight key responsibilities and required qualifications. Think about how your experiences match up and be ready to talk about them with specific examples. So when you're doing your interview, make sure, if it's a virtual interview, make sure you have your resume in front of you. Okay. And finally, think about the questions you may be asked. Common ones include: tell me about yourself, why do you want to work here, and what are your strengths and weakness? So preparing answers ahead of time helps you avoid being caught off guard and allows you to speak more clearly and confidently during the interview. And at the Career Center, we also have mock interviews. So if you want to set up a one-on-one appointment with us, just let us know. You can book an appointment with us via email or Star GPS. Okay, moving on. So, how do you tell about yourself? Okay, so we're going to talk about how to present the role at your work, your accomplishments, if not at school or in the community. And you can tell about how you got there and skills you gained from this job, and tell why you would be perfect for this position. So in many cases, you will be doing this thing called elevator pitch. So we're going to talk about elevator pitch tips. So when you are asked, can you tell me about yourself? You can do this elevator pitch. So um, the first thing you're going to mention is, who are you? So that will be your name, background, current role at your school or goal. And two is share your value. What skills, passions, or experiences set you apart? And the third one would be keep it short. You don't want like a whole long story to tell. You can keep that for later. So stick it to 30 or 60 seconds. Be clear and concise. And know your audience. Adapt your pitch to fit who you're talking to. And number five, end with action. Mention your interest and suggest next steps. I'd love to connect, or um, uh, I would like to hear more about your position. and practice, practice, practice. Okay, so let me show you an example. Okay, so this is an example. Hi, my name is Malia Coleman. I just made up this last name, Malia Coleman, and I'm a student at Hawaii Community College studying Hawaiian Studies. I've been working at the Basic Needs Center where I support students with resources like food and housing, and I'm also vice president of our Student Activities Council. I'm passionate about creating inclusive, supportive environments, and I'm currently looking for opportunities to grow my skills in student services or community outreach. I'd love to connect and learn more about how you can contribute to your team. So elevator tip is pitch is something that you can use when you network if you go to a career fair or a career event. And of course, during your interview, you're going to be doing the same elevator pitch. You're going to explain who you are. So number one, you're a student at Hawaii CC or UH Maui College or Kapiolani College, Community College. And then you're going to explain what major you're in and what work you've been doing, what kind of activities you're uh, doing. And you can talk about your passion as well. Okay, so that was a short, very short elevator pitch. And now, which skills and experience are related to the job description? So going back to the job description, um, this job description has all the answers you need. So when you're looking at it, one of the most important steps is to figure out which of your skills and experience match what the employer is looking for. So that will be the answer you'll be answering during your interview as well. So take a close look at the key responsibilities and qualifications in the posting. Ask yourself, have I done something similar before? Do I have a skill that could transfer into this role? So when you're asked with a question, you can include these stories into your interview answers. Okay, I'm going to pass it off to Kim.
Okay, so we have some common interview questions here for you. And these kind of go across the board depending on your major, your field, or what you're going to be applying to. You can kind of expect to have some of these questions, such as why do you want to work here? Or what do you know about our company? Both of these require homework. Do your homework. You should know about the company, what their mission is, what their values are, how large of a company it is. They're going to expect you to understand this. And you want to know like the work culture to see if you're going to be a good fit in this company. So when you start answering these questions, you can start to incorporate some of your own goals into these values. Another question you usually see is, can you tell me, as Tomoko mentioned earlier, can you tell me a strength or a weakness? When you talk about weaknesses, you want to show real weakness, but you also want to show that you're actively working to improve it. You don't want to say, I have a hard time getting up in the morning and I'm always late, and then just leave it like that. Like it's not really selling yourself to that employer that you're going to be a good fit for that company. So you could say, a weakness is, let's see, I struggle with time management, especially when I'm juggling multiple priorities. So you can say that, and then you can kind of twist it, right? And put like a positive spin on it and say, but, using a digital calendar or digital planning tools, I'm able to organize my priorities and track different tasks and making sure that I'm being efficient and getting things done in a timely manner or whatever it might be. Another one that you might get asked is, why should I hire you? Which throws a lot of people sometimes. Some people don't like to, some people feel like when you go into an interview that you don't want to say too much about yourself, or you don't want to seem like you're being cocky or, have that type of attitude, but you also want to sell yourself. This is the time where you're actually selling yourself. So you want to be very confident and enthusiastic about why you think you'd be the best fit for that job. And this is kind of where you can answer this question. So these are just common interview questions that you might see. And then next, we're going to go to behavioral questions. And now behavioral interview questions are designed to reveal how you've handled specific situations in the past. because this past behavior is considered a strong predictor of how you're going to, do future performances or how you're going to able to handle yourself in the future. So here we have again some common behavioral questions you might get asked, and a lot of these actually, if you've ever heard of like the STAR method, so it's STAR is an acronym for situation, task, action, and results. So when you answer a behavioral question, you kind of want to include the situation. So you're sharing with that employer the background, right? The situation of what happened. So, for example, they said, tell me about a time you faced a challenge. You want to tell the employer about the situation and then maybe the task that you guys were working on. What action did you take to resolve this? And then what was the result of this? So an example could be, last year our team lost 2 members right before a specific deadline. I was able to step up and redistribute the work. I adjusted a few timelines with the clients and led to daily check-ins to making sure everything was getting done. And then the result is we were able to deliver on time and the client extended our contract. So it kind of shows the employer that you're able to, how do you respond as far as conflict, right? Or if something goes wrong. And sometimes if you're interviewing and you're like, oh, I just went to my manager and they took care of it. Or I had this conflict with a student on a paper, so I just went to the teacher and then they put me in a different group. You want to show that you're able to handle something, regardless if it's with a classmate or a job, you're able to handle it yourself, right? How did you take that and how did you proceed without just going to somebody to have them take care of the situation? So that's kind of the whole thing behind a behavioral question. All right, so moving on to dressing appropriately. So where we live, we have a little bit more casual, right? We have aloha shirts that we can wear as far as interviewing. Not everything has to be a suit and tie here. It's very hot and we understand that. But you want to make sure, regardless of where you're applying, you dress professionally. And what I mean by that is I still think that you should be wearing, if you're a guy, depending on the job, you should probably dress in maybe a nice button-down shirt and a tie, right? Making sure that you're clean. Females, you can wear same thing, a nice button-down. You can wear slacks, you can wear a dress, you can wear a skirt, as long as it's long, past your knees. You want to feel comfortable when you go to an interview. You don't want something too short where you're tugging on it because you're uncomfortable. You want your mind clear and not fumbling with what you feel like you're being represented as, right? You want to feel comfortable. You want to make sure that your hands are clean because most of the time you're going to be seen from the waist above, right? Even if it's in person, you're sitting down usually at a desk. You want to make sure your hands are clean, your nails are clean, your arms are clean, depending on your field, right? What job you're doing and what you're doing before. Um, and then you want to make sure that you're not like wearing every accessory that you own, right? You don't want to have like 30 necklaces on, bracelets. You want to keep everything very minimum, right? And then if you don't have a professional bag or tote to bring your stuff, that's fine. But if you just have like a huge duffel bag, maybe leave it in the car. Take your keys or a small little bag. And then if you don't have like like a binder or something, just take a clean folder so you have your resume. Because as Tomoko mentioned, you want to bring at least 3 copies of your resume with you and you want to look organized. So just put it in a folder. A simple folder will do. Okay. And then so virtual interviews. It's the same thing as an in-person interview. You want to make sure you're dressed appropriately. But one thing with virtual, there's a couple things with virtual, but the first thing is make sure your background is clean, right? You don't want them to see something in the back. And it's because you're blurred doesn't always make it blurred. Sometimes when you move, some things show. So make sure whatever's behind you is clean, it's appropriate. You're not having posters back showing something or whatever it might be. Keep that all out of the background. Making sure the camera light's okay so you're not in a dark room or they can see you clearly. And make sure you wear pants. We've had an actual interview. I actually had an interview with somebody who, and this was way before COVID, and I don't even know if it was Zoom or whatever we used. And we were interviewing them, just super professional from the waist up, and the doorbell rang. And of course, you can't predict everything, right? And his dog was barking. So he was trying to get his dog into a different room because the dog wasn't stopping barking and it was very it was distributing the interview. He couldn't hear what he was saying. So he got up to go and he's in his boxers. And I'm like, so you never know what's going to happen. So just dress as if you're dressing like you're walking into the interview. You wouldn't walk into an in-person interview in your boxers. So therefore, do not do that in a virtual interview. Okay. Okay. So some final tips. Make sure whatever outfit you choose, you've tried it on the day before. Make sure if you're wearing like a button down that you might not have worn for a long time, that it's not wrinkled, it doesn't have stains on it or anything like that. So try the whole outfit on ahead of time. And the reason you're doing this is you're kind of testing it to see if it's comfortable because the last thing you want is to be uncomfortable because interviews are, intimidating and they're uncomfortable to begin with. So you want to make sure you're at least not having to deal with uncomfortable clothes on top of that. Okay? All right. So review before the interview. Um, Practice makes perfect. And interviews is just like that. The more you do, the more interviews you do, the better you will become. The more easier it will be for you. And a way to kind of get a handle on this is, as Tomoko mentioned, do a mock interview, schedule it with somebody. The best is kind of with somebody you don't know. I mean, I always say practice with your parents or a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a sister or brother. When you practice with somebody else, it's always better than yourself. But it's also another aspect if you're practicing it with somebody you don't know too, and having that feedback. And then I always say practice looking in a mirror to see your mannerisms. I know I talk with my hands a lot and it's distracting and I try not to do that. So when I go into an interview, I literally go like this and I put my hands in my lap because I know I'm such like a crazy person and it becomes very distracting. Or if you have a pen and you're like one of the pen clickers, I've had that where the person's just clicking a pen and because there's so much going on in that person's brain and they're nervous and this and that, they probably don't even know that they're doing that or even hear it. But that's all the person that's interviewing them is hearing and it's distracting. So if you know you're kind of fidgety, try to keep that a little bit more in control. And it helps with nerves too, right? So you want to always print out the questions or read the questions and have a prepared answer for those questions. As I kind of did before, like the common interview questions, you should always have kind of an answer already prepared. So at least a majority of the questions they'll ask you, you kind of already have an answer. You never want to look like you're reading off a sheet of paper, right? Like you're like monotone, like da 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 da, because you practice it so much. You still want to have the art of conversation, but you want to be prepared, and that will help with your nerves too. Okay. And then, as we talked about, have that copy of the resume. Always have at least 3 copies. You never know who might join the interview. And then, in addition, you want to always have your copy of your resume in front of you. It will help when, if you get nervous, sometimes you kind of go blank. And just having that your resume in front of you and being able to look at a past job might spark everything back, right? Just take a deep breath, and then things will come back. And then the job description. You want to make sure that you printed the job description or you saved it as a PDF and make sure that you're familiar with what they're asking of you because these are going to be incorporated into the questions. Okay. Let's say, so what do we have now? Say yes to the when they say, do you have any questions for me? You always say yes, right? This is you never want to negotiate salary or like mention vacation, like how much vacation time do I get? You want to keep these off the table. This isn't the time to ask this. We have a couple questions up there that you can ask it's appropriate, such as like what's a typical day look like? Or what are some strengths or qualities you value most in your team members? Or can you tell me more about the team I'd be working with? All of these are appropriate questions to ask. You just want to leave anything salary related off the table. And you always want to have at least one question for the employer. And it shows that you're interested, right? Okay. So next we have a fun little video for you guys.
Okay. I
Hopefully
might
you guys
have
can
to
hear it.
reshare again. Sorry
Okay.
about that. Okay, let me do the share sound.
Hi, I am really excited to meet you. I saw on your daughter's blog that she has a gluten allergy, so I got these gluten-free cookies. I hope she likes them. I'm a crazy stalker. Don't let me into your life.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't bring any copies of my resume with me. I actually care so little about this job. I didn't even bother to print something out.
Sorry I'm late to traffic. I just don't care about your time.
They really didn't know how to take advantage of my skills. I have no skills.
My old boss, Tim, do you know him? Oh, I love Tim to death. He didn't really get social media, but gotta love that guy. I'm super passive aggressive, and I'll talk behind your back the first chance I get.
My biggest flaw is that I'm a perfectionist. My biggest flaw is that I am an asshole and a liar.
Well, I'm not good at public speaking, or delegating, or working in Excel, or interviewing for jobs, obviously.
I really don't have any flaws. Yeah, I'm gonna be a lot of fun to manage.
Where will I be in 5 years? In your job. Just kidding. I'm not kidding. Watch your ass.
I want to invent the next Uber. I'm going to use your office to start my own company. Yeah, and then I'm going to steal all your employees, even Brenda.
I mean, honestly, I would just really love to get away from the grind in this business setting. Maybe I'll move to Europe or Africa or Asia or open up an Etsy store, something like that. Yeah, I get high a lot.
What kind of medical insurance do you provide? I have cholera and I want you to pay for it.
What's your vacation policy like? I can't wait to not be at my new job.
Do you think I'll get an office? I want all the things I don't deserve. Sorry, I'm expecting a call. Yeah, so many more things in the world more important than this. Yeah, it's going great. I don't know, I think I get it.
I really want this job. I'm the most desperate person you've ever met, and I'm 5 seconds away from grabbing your hand and begging.
I'm a team player, and I'm a people person. All I have to offer you are cliches.
I'm not really looking right now, but I would consider taking it if the price was right. Yeah, I'm gonna start looking for a job from my desk the second you hire me. Do you know anyone actually?
Okay. So that was kind of fun, but it did mention a couple of things it was a good way to kind of show what you think you're answering the question and what the employer might be hearing, right? When he says basically starting an Uber company from his desk, right, by saying different things, it can be perceived differently than you intended, or you could be maybe giving too much information away. Another thing we didn't talk about that I wanted to cover really quickly is that you always want to show that you're respectful of their time. And when he pulls his phone out, that's a huge thing when it comes to an interview. Unless you have children and it's an absolute emergency or a family member and somebody's going to the hospital or something like that, your phone should be put away and you should not be answering it or looking at it. When you're walking in to the thing, you shouldn't be looking at your phone. You always want to make sure you have eye contact. And actually, when your job's interview starts is the moment you walk into that door of that employer, or even pulling into the parking lot or wherever. As soon as you enter there, that's when the job interview actually starts. Sometimes if you talk to a receptionist, you want to make sure that you're respectful and you're off on a good start, right? You don't want to show that you're rude or you're late. You want to make sure you're always 10 minutes early at the minimum. So if you have to sit in your car for 20 minutes, so you know you're going to be there on time, schedule that in. If you don't know how long it's going to take you to get there, account for extra time. So you're early, at least 10 minutes early. And when you do walk in, you want to make sure you have eye contact with that person. Go up and shake their hand. If you're a guy and it's a female, still shake their hand with a firm handshake. As a female, I find it insulting if somebody's very dainty and they don't want to shake my hand. I want to shake their hand even, give them a little bit more. So regardless if it's a male or female, give a nice firm handshake and make eye contact. You don't want to be creepy where you're just staring at the person, but you want to make sure that you're acknowledging them, right? And then just, again, be very cautious of their time. Don't be late. Don't be pulling out your phone. Don't be looking at it. Put your phone away and don't pull it out until the interview is completely over and you're outside that. Okay? Okay, so some top tips. Again, be yourself. Relax, and this is where you have the practice coming in. The more you're able to practice, the more relaxed you will be. When you walk into a job interview, I always tell students that you want to be in the right headspace. So you want to be confident. So walk in there thinking you're going to nail it, that you're going to own it, and that job's already yours. So you're in that mindset. And then again, I said be early. Okay. And then virtual don'ts. You don't want to, I said, you want that resume in front of you if you need it, but you don't want to be holding the resume and reading off of it. That's never a good thing. You want to make sure that you know what's on there too. So if you had help writing it by somebody, I don't recommend that, but if you did, make sure you know what's on there. Don't watch the clock. Don't look at your watch. Definitely don't pull out your phone. And yeah, don't bring your phone. Just have everything put away. So you don't want distractions. Okay, again, we kind of already covered the virtual, blur your background, the camera, the lighting. And then if you can, I know if you interview from home, sometimes you're just gonna have things that happen, and there's things you can't help, but you want to try to have a quiet place as much as possible. If you have family, and that's totally okay. It is what it is, right? If you have children or if you have family or an animal, you can't anticipate everything that's going to happen, and that's okay. But try to find a quiet space as much as you can, right? Go in your room, shut the door. All right, so that kind of takes it for the mock interview, and then we're going to go into some soft skills with you guys and pass it off back to you.
Okay, so let's talk about the 10 soft skills you need. So doing your job well takes more than just technical skills. And it's important to know how to do your tasks, but just as important are your soft skills. So soft skills are things like communication, teamwork, and having a good attitude. So no matter where you work or what you do, you're going to work with people. When you build strong soft skills, you help create a better, smoother, and more enjoyable workplace for others and for yourself. Okay, so in this portion, we're going to discuss about how soft skills are important to success in the workplace. And we're going to understand the 10 key soft skills everyone should have. Apply soft skills to specific situation. Okay, and we have this quote for you. I think we all have empathy. We may not have the courage to display it. Maya Angelou. And back to you, Kim.
Okay, so what are soft skills? So these are personal traits and interpersonal abilities that help us connect with others and succeed at work. So unlike technical skills, which are the hard skills that you're usually taught throughout college, soft skills are your empathy, communication, your optimism, and are broadly applicable and can be learned and developed over time. So what is the definition of soft skills? Again, these are personal traits that help us relate to others and build stronger relationships and more work and help you work more efficiently. We often focus on the hard skills like the technology and the job specific skills that they're asking for, like in that job posting. But the soft skills are just as important and honestly more important to an employer. And these can be applied to any role or any industry. So investing in them can boost your career in any environment. So again, soft skills include your communication, listening, showing empathy, networking, your self-confidence, giving and receiving feedback, or just to name a few. Okay, so moving on to empathy and emotional intelligence. Empathy is a key soft skill and allows us to understand and relate to others' emotions and experiences, strengthening these interpersonal connections and teamwork. It's a core component in emotional intelligence, which involves recognizing and managing emotions to build a more healthier, more effective relationship. So self-awareness is the ability to recognize our own feelings and motivations. And then self-management is the ability to appropriately express or not to express our feelings, right? Know when to keep your mouth closed and when to speak up. And social awareness, this is our ability to recognize the feelings and needs of others and the norms of a given situation. And then relationship management, this is our ability to relate effectively to others. Okay, so professionalism. This is big. So professionalism is often misunderstood as being cold or distant, but it's actually more about responsibility, your integrity, and excellence. It doesn't mean sacrificing empathy or emotional intelligence. It's just about showing up on time, like dressing appropriately, communicating effectively, and maintaining higher standards at work. And then learned versus inborn traits. So soft skills may be inherent, but they're actually learned abilities. So just like hard skills, they can be developed through practice. And we've all been practicing these skills since birth, essentially. You learn them in kindergarten and all the way up. Um, while some of these might come more natural, all can be cultivated. So learning from others and seeking low risk opportunities to practice are effective ways to enhance your soft skills. You don't have to be born with them, and these are skills to build on throughout your career. So the more jobs you do, the more classes you take, or the more you're involved with different things that challenge you are helping build your soft skills. Okay. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. Peter Drucker. Okay, back to you, Tomoko.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about communication. So communication is another very important soft skill because all other soft skills are built on the ability to communicate clearly and professionally. Communication is more than just sending a message. It is also the ability to receive messages, listen actively, and hear what isn't being said. Many times we focus on learning to speak or write clearly, but this is only one component of communication and perhaps not even the most important. Okay, so ways we communicate. So human communication is complex. The first thing that comes to mind when we hear the word communication is often words either spoken or written. But the words we speak and hear are just one way we communicate. And some studies show that most of our communication takes place through other means. Humans communicate in many different ways. And one would be nonverbal communication, communication without words, such as eye contact or postures. Verbal communication is another one, communication with words, both written and spoken. And the other one is body language, communication through gestures, facial expressions, and touching. Artistic communication, communication through images and other creative media. Musical communication, that is communication through music, whether with lyrics or without. So most of us have a preferred method of communication, but all of us use these different forms at one point or another. Learning to communicate effectively in many forms helps not only when you craft your own messages, but when you receive messages as well. Okay, so improving nonverbal communication. So most of what we communicate isn't through words, it's through body language. And things like eye contact, posture, gestures, and facial expressions can say a lot. Studies show that when your body language doesn't match your words, people tend to believe your body, not what you say. So to improve your nonverbal communication, start by paying attention. Standing openly, making eye contact, nodding, and relaxing your posture can show that you're friendly, honest, and paying attention. So, crossed arms, avoiding eye contact, or fidgeting might send a message that you're closed off, nervous, or not listening. So, we often do these things without realizing. So, take a moment to notice your body language and how others respond to it. Okay, listening. So listening is just as important, if not more than speaking. So good listening means really understanding what someone is saying, not just hearing the words. A lot of people listen just to reply, but the goal should be to listen to understand. This is called active listening. It means giving your full attention, showing your listening, like nodding, and then repeating back what you heard to make sure you got it right. You might say something like, so what I'm hearing is this and this. So you can reframe what you just heard. So, or you can say something like, it sounds like you're saying this and that. So active listening also means staying focused and using I statements to keep the conversation respectful and clear. Okay, openness and honesty. Open and honest communication is key to build good relationships at work. You don't have to share personal stuff, but being clear and honest about work-related things really matters. When people feel like you're hiding something or not being upfront, it can lead to mistrust and hurt the team's vibe. That can affect how well everyone works together. So everyone has different comfort levels with how much they want to share, and that's okay. But being open and friendly, sharing a little about yourself can help build connection and trust with your coworkers. Okay, here's another quote for you. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships. Michael Jordan. And back to you, Kim.
Okay, teamwork. So even if you work fairly independently most of the time, inevitably you're going to be working with others. So finding a way to build teams that accomplish your needs to be done in the most efficient and accurate manner is often challenging, especially when bringing together a team that have a diverse set of hard and soft skills. There are some basic techniques that you can use when building or working with a team to help create a cohesive unit that leverages everyone's talents and ensures that each member is contributing. Okay, so identifying capabilities. So Einstein said that everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its life thinking that it's not smart. When building a team, it is key to identify the different talents, skills, and capabilities each team member brings. Identifying what each team member does well can contribute and help ensure that the work is allocated evenly and tasks are taking like the full advantage of their talents and resources on the team. So assigning a team member work that is completely outside of their skill sets is a recipe for failure. It's not going to work. So on the other hand, leveraging all of these diverse capabilities and skills and talents on your team can help you achieve the most maximum amount of results. So when you build or join a team, you want to take the time in the beginning to ask each member what they bring to the table, right? What skills, abilities, and the relationship does that each team member has that they can help enhance the project. What does each person feel they do well? Maybe what they don't do well? And then how can the team use all of these talents and capabilities to achieve the best outcome? So you want to take that time in the beginning. Okay, and next is getting into your role. So when you're given a role on a team, it's important to get into it. Be sure that you know what is expected of you and what you can expect from the other team members. Even if the role is new or you haven't done this before, you want to kind of step into it with a positive attitude. And it also means stepping out of the other person's roles. So if you've done something before and you've taken that role, you don't want to kind of slide back into that position. Use communication skills to create open, honest dialogue with your team members so that you're all on the same page. Be clear about what where your role begins and where it ends, and be willing to assist those boundaries. And maybe if there is overlap, where you guys can work together. Teamwork can be very challenging in the best of circumstances, but it can be even more so when the roles are very unclear, right? So a key step in creating a team is clearly outlining which each person's role is and what their role is not. Okay, so learn the whole process. Fully embracing your role in a team is crucial, yet it's equally important to understand the entire project process as a whole. So this broader perspective not only clarifies your responsibilities, but it fosters better collaboration and problem solving. Actively engaging with team members outside your area builds rapport and ensures everyone is prepared to assist in case of emergencies. Learning where the whole process promotes a collaborative environment, enhancing communication and productivity. Okay, so next is the power of flow. So psychologists define flow as a mental state that occurs when we are fully immersed in an activity. It boosts productivity and supports high quality, accurate work with fewer errors. We're most likely to enter flow when our skills match the challenge and goals, and we can focus without distraction. So again, identifying each team member's strengths and minimizing interruptions can help flow faster, help you get into that flow state. It also aids in learning new skills, making it a powerful tool for professional growth and development. Okay, another quote. So it's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer. Albert Einstein.
Okay, so now moving on to problem solving. So no matter what your industry or your role, problem solving is part of your job. So whether the problems you encounter are big or small, you solve problems every day. Learning how to apply problem solving skills helps not only to enhance productivity, but also helps to cultivate relationships by focusing on shared goals and solutions. Define the problem. You can't solve a problem if you don't know what it is. The first step in solving any problem should be to define the problem itself. Oftentimes, what we think is a problem is only a symptom of a larger issue. Take time to define the problem clearly. Figuring out what the problem is exactly and clearly defining it means you can move forward with solutions that will actually solve it, rather than just resolve the symptoms or temporarily stop the chaos. So, taking time to define the problem is especially important if emotions are running high or interactions are getting heated. It puts the focus back on shared goals and allows for everyone to be heard. Okay, generate alternative solutions. Once you've defined a problem, you can move on to solutions. It is important not to just choose the first solution that presents itself, nor should you push your own preferred solution to the exclusion of others. Instead, take the time to generate alternative solutions. Ask the others involved what ideas they have for solving the problem. Discuss the ways in which the alternative solutions might play out, problems they might encounter, and how any of obstacles can be overcome. Apply active listening and clear communication throughout. When the group has generated many solutions, discuss which ones you would all like to move forward with. And evaluate the plans. So once you've come up with a list of possible solutions, it's time to look at each one carefully. So treat all your ideas fairly. Don't dismiss any right away. So start by talking about what's good about each idea. What are the benefits? Then talk about what might be challenging. What could go wrong or make it hard to do? Next, think about what each plan would need. Is it going to be people, time, money, materials? And then ask, do we have those things? Some plans will be clearly unrealistic or won't work. You can start crossing those off the list and keep narrowing it down until you have the ideas that seem the most realistic and helpful with the fewest problems. Okay, Impl- implementation and re-evaluation. So once you've picked the best plan, it's time to put it into action. Make sure everyone knows what the plan is, what their role is, and what the goals are. So good communication and teamwork are super important here. People are more likely to support the plan if they feel included and understand their part in it. Also, set a timeline when things will happen and when you'll check in on how it's going. So don't skip the check in. So just because a plan sounds good doesn't mean it'll work perfectly in real life. So after trying it out, take time to review. Is it working? Are any changes needed? Do we need a new plan? So re-evaluating helps you figure out if the original problem is actually being solved. Okay, priority management is the answer we have to maximizing the time we have. John C. Maxwell. And back to you, Kim.
Okay, so time management. So time is what we want most, but what we use worst. A quote from William Penn. So we all have the same number of hours in the day. So why is it that some people seem to get so much more done? The ability to effectively manage your time is key to productivity. And this is huge for employers, right? You may not be able to create more time in your day, but applying time management skills can help make the most of your time that you do have. Okay, so the art of scheduling. Another quote, lack of direction, not lack of time is a problem. We all have 24 hours a day. So this is from Zig Ziglar. It's a good quote. So just like we schedule appointments and errands, it's essential to schedule our work tasks too. And this helps us manage our time better and prioritize tasks more efficiently. By blocking out specific time slots for each task and including breaks, we ensure that important work gets done, and it helps us remember what needs to be accomplished. So by keeping track of how you spend your time for the week to refine your scheduling skills and accurately estimate your task duration. Okay. And then next we have prioritizing. So managing your priorities is essential to managing your time effectively. The first step is to identify what is most important, right? Whether by value or urgency. Take time daily and weekly to review your top priorities and then schedule them first. You want to put them at the top. This ensures time and resources are dedicated to the higher impact tasks. Without these clear priorities, everything feels equally urgent, leading to scattered focus and inefficient use of time. Again, prioritizing helps you stay on track with what matters most. It's especially important when working with others, when priorities aren't necessarily aligned and can lead to miscommunication, and this also reduces your productivity. Okay. Next is managing distraction. So a key to boosting productivity, especially if you want to reach like the flow state we mentioned earlier, is managing distraction. So while you can't necessarily eliminate everything, you can minimize and control them with a clear strategy. So the first step is to identify your biggest distractions. Is it coworkers dropping by or constant notifications binging on your phone, boredom maybe with repetitive tasks? Once you know what your triggers are, you can kind of put solutions in place. So for example, common distractions could be, colleagues stopping by to chat, checking your email or your voicemail, background noise. There's so much going on, you're not able to focus. A very cluttered workspace, right, can be distracting because you're trying to put things away or you can't find things, or it's just mental fatigue, so much going on. So some solutions could be, you can set maybe an open door hours for people to come in, or kind of, establish boundaries. Be like, oh, I'm really working on this right now. Just give me, I'll come talk to you when this is done, or, give it time. You can use like a do not disturb sign if you wanted to do that on your door. You can always maybe now everybody kind of has noise canceling headphones or something that you can maybe put on background music, or, white noise or something that you can block certain things out. You can always maybe schedule a time to check messages, so you're not constantly answering everything that pops up as it pops up. You want to keep your workplace clean and organized. This will help with, if you're trying to find something, the amount of time that goes into locating something that is lost. And then you also want to remember to build in short breaks to recharge. So managing these distractions isn't about being perfect all the time. It's about being intentional, so you can stay focused and make the most of your time. Okay, next is multitasking and the multitasking myth. So multitasking is exactly what it sounds like, trying to do more than one thing at a time. So many of us multitask throughout the day, either listening to a colleague while you're checking an email or working on a document while talking on the phone. We have the idea that we get more done when we multitask, or that it's the best way to maximize our time. However, studies show that 30 to 40% more time is actually spent when you multitask, rather than when you work on a monotask, which is one thing at a time. So multitasking also means your attention is divided, right? And which can lead to miscommunication and more errors. So multitasking can also damage relationships, as it may convey that you're not really interested in what the other person's saying, because you're not giving that person your attention. You think you're focusing on something else. And it can be difficult to break the multitasking habit, because so many of us do it all the time. But it's key if we want to do the best with the work that we have, right? You want to give it your sole attention, be it a project or a person. You want to give that person or the project your attention. Okay, another quote. Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. Again, Albert Einstein. Okay, back to you, Boko.
Okay, so moving on to attitude and work ethic. This is a very, very important one. So, creating a positive attitude is one of the best things you can do for your productivity and your workplace happiness. People who have a constantly positive attitude are seen as approachable and can build more effective workplace relationships. A positive attitude also serves you well when you face challenges or setbacks. It breeds resilience. Coupled with a positive attitude, a strong work ethic helps you build strong relationships with teammates and superiors or your boss. A solid work ethic also helps you find reward in the work you do and shows a dedication not just to goals or outcomes, but to your overall professional development. What are you working for? So, being clear about what you're working for is a key part of building a positive attitude and strong work ethic. If you're not sure what you are working for, it can be difficult or even impossible to fully invest in a project or in developing your skills. So, take time to clarify what your personal goals are, both in terms of specific projects and in terms of your overall career. Set specific goals and then create plans to achieve them. Tie these goals to your day to day tasks and responsibilities so that you can keep them in sight. And when working with a team, it is also vital that you outline clear group goals. Know what each member of the group is working for and what the group is collectively working for. Find ways to consistently tie individual tasks or steps to the overarching group goals and to individual members' personal goals. Okay, caring for other versus caring for self. Is it possible to care for others and care for yourself? A lot of people think they have to choose either be helpful and supportive or take care of their own needs, but that's not true. The truth is, taking care of yourself actually helps you be a better teammate, friend, or coworker. When you're well rested, focused, and in a good headspace, you're better able to support others. So we all have shared goals, especially when working in a team. Supporting each other and taking care of ourselves helps everyone do better. Sometimes we think there's only room for one person to win, but in a strong team, everyone's success helps the whole group succeed. So caring for yourself and caring for others go hand in hand. And that's what creates a healthier, more positive environment for everyone. Building trust. Trust is everything in a workplace. If people don't trust you, it's hard to work together, support each other, or reach shared goals. So that's why it's so important to build trust with your team. When there's trust, everyone does better. Soft skills like good communication, being honest, having a positive attitude, and showing that you work hard all help build trust over time. So people who are trusted by their coworkers usually have a few things in common. They're good at what they do. They care about their work and put in effort. They're honest and transparent. They look out for others, not just themselves. They show that they care. They know themselves and how they affect others. So keep showing up with these qualities, and people will feel confident working with you and supporting your ideas. Okay, work is its own reward. So when you develop a positive attitude and strong work ethic, work can start to feel like its own reward. While pay and benefits matter, finding satisfaction in work itself leads to more growth, engagement, and trust from others. If work feels like just a paycheck, take time to reflect. What about your job brings you joy, purpose, or fulfillment? Practicing gratitude for the non material benefits like personal growth or helping others can shift your mindset and boost long term happiness. You must always be able to predict what's next and have the flexibility to evolve. Mark Benowith. And back to you, Kim.
Okay. Adaptability and flexibility. So two of the most important skills you have are adaptability and flexibility. Some people might mistakenly think that the ability to change according to the needs of the situation or willingness to compromise shows weakness or a lack of conviction. But in reality, the ability to compromise, change in response to changing situations and changing needs, and to thrive are key to success in a fast-paced workplace. most of us find ourselves in. So change can be scary, but learning to adapt and flex as needed is an investment worth making. Okay, so getting over the good old days syndrome. So like many of us have said this at one point, but we used to do it like this, or it was better back when this. And most of us fall into a mindset at times, idolizing the past and believing it was better than the present. But this can also become a barrier to embracing change. When you find yourself slipping into nostalgia, take a moment to check your perspective where things were really that great as you remember. Often we romanticize the past and forget about the challenges that came with it. To be honest, try to recall the frustrations and problems you faced along at the same time. And remember, people in the good old days were probably wishing for their good old days as well. Okay, changing to manage process. So one of the most common times we need to adapt is when processing change. Whether due to new technology or global expansion or shifting needs, how we often evolve. Adapting isn't just about learning a new task, it's about adjusting our mindset and approach. Holding on to old methods can lead to lower productivity, conflict, and missed opportunities. So embracing new processes shows our ability to learn, grow, and collaborate in changing environments. Okay, showing your worth and your weight in adaptability. So how can you showcase your adaptability? Studies show that people who are highly adaptable may be more highly valued at work than those who are highly skilled but less willing to adapt or flex to change. So take the time to show how adaptable you are in your workplace and how likely you are. Show them that you're a worthwhile investment. So some ways you can demonstrate your adaptability is by being open to alternative solutions. When you first, maybe when you first suggest doesn't go your way or succeed, you can be open to adapting to a different solution. Be willing to take on new roles, even if they're far stretched or something you're not used to doing. Be willing to help others generate alternative solutions or plans. Keep your calm even when things are moving fast or stressful. And then demonstrate confidence in your abilities to complete a job even when you had to adapt or flex to it. Okay, another quote. So believe that you can and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. Back to you, Jamal.
Okay, so we have about 2 more minutes, but self-confidence. So this is the most important thing. The single greatest thing you can do for your own success is build and learn to show self-confidence. Self-confidence is not egoistic or acting like you are better than others. Self-confidence is simply the belief that you know what to do and how to do it, that you're good at what you do, and that you can handle whatever comes your way. Demonstrating self-confidence helps to engender trust in you and demonstrates that you are skilled and adaptable. Okay, so confident traits. So you can see that people who have confidence, they don't put others down. They aren't afraid to look silly or foolish. They acknowledge their mistakes. And self-questionnaire. So how confident are you? You can ask yourself, it can be hard to assess our own self-confidence. So taking some time to ask a few questions and answer them honestly can help you gauge the areas where your confidence is high and where it's low. So you can ask yourself if you agree with these statements. Am I honest with others? I am honest with myself. I feel comfortable being wrong. You can ask those questions. And then self-confidence is a trait that can be built. In fact, a few very simple tactics can help you quickly build your self-confidence. And as you become more confident, you'll have experiences that will build your confidence even more. And here are some of the tips for building self-confidence. Dress your best, stand up straight, compliment others, and also accept compliments and build up others. One key trait of people who have high self-confidence is that they build up others rather than tearing them down. Having self-confidence means that you do not feel competitive with others. Their success doesn't take away from your own. Find ways to build up others and compliment others. Acknowledge their contribution and express your gratitude. So being a mentor can also help to build others, help develop their skills, and which will help them develop their own self-confidence. And we're at 1 o'clock, so we would like to end with this quote for you.
I
I
said we
like
could go a little.
criticism. Hmm?
Oh, no, I said we can go. We were going to stay on as the ones that have to leave, they can leave, and we'll just. There's
Okay.
only 2 modules left, so we can
Okay,
keep going.
sounds good. So I like criticism. It makes you strong. LeBron James. And back to you, Kim.
Okay, ability to learn. So this one's kind of big because it talks about criticism. So nobody enjoys criticism, but learning from it is essential for personal and professional growth. And being open to feedback is a valuable investment in yourself. It reflects self-confidence, shows your values, others' perspectives, and signals a commitment to both you and the work and your continuous improvement. Okay, so well, you mean I'm not perfect. So getting feedback that we're not as perfect as we like to believe can be a shock, or it can be something hard for us to take. But one of the hallmarks of confidence is the ability to admit mistakes and accept when you're wrong. The key to focus on growth and not defending ourselves or justifying our actions. Recognizing that imperfection doesn't make you a bad person is a powerful mindset shift. No one expects perfection. They expect your effort, growth, and authenticity. Most criticism is often offered to help you improve, not to tear you down. Okay, so listen with an open mind. Active listening is essential when learning to accept and grow from criticism. While it's tempting to defend yourself, it's important to resist that urge. Instead, listen with an open mind. Even if you don't agree with it, or agree with all of it or any of it, make an effort to hear the person out fully. Reflect back from what you've heard and ensure that understanding, answer questions calmly, and avoid interrupting. Focus on listening to understand and not just listening to respond. Okay, so analyze and learn. After receiving feedback or criticism, it's perfectly acceptable to ask for time to reflect. Always thank the person for their input and then take a step back and consider it thoughtfully, especially if you feel defensive. You may not have to agree with everything, but try to find what's useful and what you can learn from. Once you've had time to process, identify specific action items to work on. So either consider pursuing training, a mentorship, or other resources to support your growth in those areas. If you're unsure how to interpret the feedback, seek guidance from a trusted mentor, supervisor, or colleague. And then lastly, clear the air and don't hold any grudges. So even if it's not meant to be, when it's not meant to be mean, criticism can feel extremely personal. That's why it's important not to hold any resentment or let it strain your relationship with the person who gave it to you. So take a moment to thank the person again for their time and caring enough to offer the feedback. If the criticism was hard to hear, affirm the relationship and show appreciation for their honesty. So again, remember, most feedback is given with good intentions. If you're still feeling defensive or unsettled afterwards, find a way to kind of clear the air. And doing so shows that you're not only committed to your own growth, but you're also value the relationship and respect the person who gave you that feedback. Okay. So networking is an essential part of building wealth. Armstrong Williams.
Okay, so this is our last module, networking. So networking is more than just a buzzword. Taking the time to network and build relationship is a key soft skill. Networking helps you create connection with others, which expands your circle of learning and support. Networking is more than meeting people or connecting with them on the internet. It involves building mutually beneficial links where you can learn from and benefit from each other and the relationship. Refine need. When many people think of networking, they think of it in terms of what they need or what they can get from the networking. relationship. So networking can be more beneficial if we instead think of what we can give in our networking relationships. Think about what you have to offer people instead only of what you need from them. When you think in terms of what you can offer as well as what you need from others, it expands your network. You begin to seek out people to whom you can offer yourself, your expertise and talents rather than just those who have something to offer you. Seeing yourself as someone with much to offer also helps to boost your self-confidence. Identifying others' interests. When you network with others, it's key to identify others' interests. This helps you identify common interests and goals, as well as areas in which you can offer of yourself. When you meet a new person, ask about their goals and interests. Ask yourself how they mesh with your own goals and interests. How do they align with the goals and interests of your organization? So how can you integrate your interests with others to find common ground? What common goals do you have? How can you offer of yourself to help others reach their goals? How can they help you reach your goals? Focusing on ways in which your goals and interests integrate with others helps create a strong, powerful network that goes beyond simple friendship. Reach out. To be able to network, you have to reach out. There are many ways to do this, both online and in person. One of the easiest way to reach out is to join a professional social networking sites such as LinkedIn, or if you're a University of Hawaii Community College student, you have Handshake. So look for people in your industry or who share your interests. Join groups, both online and in person, professional groups and associations groups, which promote skills you want to develop, such as something like Toastmasters and groups that work for a cause you value or these are all good choices. So no matter what you choose as method of meeting people, the key part of networking is to talk to people. Approach people and start a conversation and cultivate presence that makes you approachable. Be responsive when people contact you via email or phone. Make time in your schedule each week to work on networking and schedule it as you would with any other important task. Use your soft skills, listening actively, projecting self-confidence, building others up as you network. When to back off. So this is something important to like the YouTube video we just watched, as important as knowing how and when to reach out is knowing when to back off is equally important. So if it becomes clear that the person you're trying to connect with is not responding, it is time to move on. The last thing you want to do is for someone to feel pursued. Be willing to back off if a person appears to be trying to distance themselves. Also be aware of being too self-promoting. This can be off-putting. Know that you have much to offer to others and that someone not wanting to build a networking relationship with you is not a reflection of your worth as a person. Okay, so wrapping up. So, although this workshop is coming to a close, we hope that your journey to improve your soft skills is just beginning. And we wish you the best of luck on the rest of your journey. And we have a short survey we have for you. And if you are a Hawaii CC student, tomorrow we are having a Hawaii CC career fair, in-person career fair in Hilo on our Monono campus from 10 to 2. So please come join us if you wanted to start networking. And I popped in the link, the survey link in our chat box. So please, please, please fill out this short survey. Thank you so much, everybody, and
Thank you
Aloha
guys for your
Friday.
time. Yes,
Aloha.
thank you.